She never wanted this marriage. He never wanted to care. But when secrets start to unravel in the heart of the Arizona territory, nothing will ever be the same. Thank you so much for watching and for all your comments. Let me know at the end if you liked this story, and where you're watching from and why you're following this. The vast Arizona territory, 1875. Dust swirled across the parched landscape as Naya, a 19-year-old Apache woman, gathered medicinal herbs outside her tribe's settlement. Her long black hair danced in the wind as her nimble fingers worked. The daughter of Chief Nako, she had learned the healing ways from her grandmother, earning respect within her tribe despite the prejudice against her gender. Naya, her younger brother Takota's voice cut through her concentration. Riders approaching. White men. She straightened, shielding her eyes against the harsh sun. 3 horsemen approached, their silhouettes growing larger against the horizon. Her father had been negotiating with white settlers for months, trying to maintain peace and secure their ancestral lands. Get father, she instructed, her voice steady despite the unease crawling up her spine. When the riders arrived, Naya stood beside her father, observing the negotiations. The leader, a broad-shouldered man named Colonel Davidson, spoke with a false smile. Chief Nako, we've come with a proposition that could benefit us both. He gestured expansively. The railroad is coming through these parts. Progress cannot be stopped. Her father's face remained impassive. These are Apache lands promised to us by your government. Davidson's smile never wavered. Indeed. However, circumstances change. We're prepared to offer protection for your people if you'll relocate to a more suitable area. And if we refuse? Nako asked. Then I cannot guarantee safety from other interested parties. Davidson's eyes drifted to Naya, making her skin crawl. However, there may be another solution. An alliance of sorts. Nako stiffened. What kind of alliance? I've brought someone who might interest you. Davidson gestured to a man hanging back in the shadows. This is James Blackwood. The third rider nudged his horse forward. Nia felt a chill as she studied him. Unlike the soldiers, he wore no uniform, just dark clothes and a wide-brimmed hat that shadowed his face. A gunslinger's holster hung at his hip. Blackwood is the most feared gun in the territory, Davidson continued. He's agreed to ensure your tribe's protection, for a price. James Blackwood finally lifted his head, revealing a face weathered by sun and violence. His eyes, startlingly blue against his tan skin, met Naya's briefly before returning to the chief. What price? Nako demanded. Davidson smiled. Marriage, to unite our interests. Naya's breath caught. She understood immediately what they proposed. My daughter is not for sale, Nako growled. Not sale, chief. Alliance. Davidson's voice hardened. Consider carefully. Winter approaches, and the military cannot always control rogue elements. The thinly veiled threat hung in the air. Naya watched her father's shoulders sag almost imperceptibly. 3 days, Nako said finally. I will give you my answer in 3 days. That night, heated voices filled the chief's dwelling. Naya stood silently as the tribal elders debated her fate. We cannot trust the white man's promises, argued Elder Maska. But can we survive another winter of raids? Questioned another. Our children are hungry. Later, alone with her father, Naya spoke her mind. I will do what is necessary for our people. Nako's eyes reflected the firelight. The decision is not made, daughter. But it will be, she replied softly. I have seen how these negotiations end. The next morning, Naya found James Blackwood at the edge of their settlement, watching the sunrise. She approached cautiously. Why did you agree to this arrangement? She demanded. He turned slowly, studying her with those unsettling blue eyes. My reasons are my own. I am to be your wife, yet you offer no explanation? Her voice remained steady despite her anger. A flicker of something respect, perhaps crossed his face. Davidson holds something over me, just as he threatens your tribe. What could a man like you fear from him? Everyone has something to lose. He turned back to the horizon, even me. 2 days later, the decision was made. For the protection of the tribe, Naya would marry James Blackwood in a ceremony combining both cultures. As she prepared, her grandmother clasped her hands. "Remember who you are," the old woman whispered. "Apache women are strong. Stronger than any man knows." The wedding took place at sunset. Nia wore traditional Apache ceremonial clothing, her face a mask of dignity despite the turmoil within. Blackwood stood rigidly in his dark clothes, his expression unreadable. As they completed the ceremony, binding them together, Nia caught Davidson's triumphant smile. But she also noticed something else, the way Blackwood's hand hovered near his gun whenever Davidson approached her. Not a gesture of threat toward her, but of protection. That night, after the celebrations ended, Blackwood led her to a small cabin at the edge of the settlement. "This will be our home," he said simply, opening the door. "For now." Inside, he surprised her by pointing to separate sleeping areas he had arranged. "I didn't choose this marriage any more than you did," he said quietly. "I won't force anything else upon you." Confused but relieved, Nia watched as he removed his gun belt and placed it carefully beside his bedroll. For the first time, she noticed a leather-bound book tucked among his sparse belongings. "You can read?" she asked, surprise evident in her voice. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "There's a lot you don't know about me, Nia." As she settled into her bedding, Nia realized the gunslinger was right. James Blackwood was not what he seemed. And perhaps, just perhaps, this forced marriage might not be the prison she had feared. 2 weeks into their marriage, Nia still found James Blackwood an enigma. He departed each morning before dawn, returning by sunset, often with game for the tribe. He spoke little, but his actions contradicted his fearsome reputation. She had seen him help an elder repair a dwelling, teach young boys to set traps, and once, when he thought no one was watching, give his portion of food to a hungry child. One evening, as Nia prepared dinner, she noticed him writing in a small journal. "What are you writing?" she asked, placing a bowl of stew before him. He closed the journal quickly. "Just thoughts." "I didn't know gunslingers kept diaries," she said, a slight challenge in her voice. He studied her for a long moment. "There's a lot you don't know about gunslingers." "Then tell me," she persisted, sitting across from him. "We are married, after all." Something shifted in his expression. "Not all of us chose this life, Nia. Then how did you come to it?" He sighed, setting aside his food. "I was a law student once, in Boston. My father was a judge," he laughed bitterly. "Hard to believe, I know." Nia remained silent, encouraging him to continue. "There was a case corruption involving powerful men. My father refused to be bought. One night men came to our home." His voice grew distant. "I was 19, away at university. When I returned, they were gone. Everyone." "Your family," she whispered. He nodded. "I tracked the men responsible. Learned to use a gun. Found them one by one. And Colonel Davidson? He knows who I really am. Threatened to expose me to those still hunting me unless I helped secure this land." His eyes met hers. "I didn't know his plan involved marriage. Why do you continue your charade as a gunslinger?" "Because James Blackwood, the notorious gunman, keeps people at a distance. Keeps them safe from what follows me." He hesitated. "Including you." The next morning, Nia woke to find Blackwood James already gone, but a small wooden carving of a bird sat beside her bed. The gesture, small as it was, shifted something within her. Later that day, while gathering plants, Nia noticed riders approaching miners from a nearby settlement known for harassing Apache women. Her hand moved to the knife at her belt. "Well, look what we found," the lead miner called, dismounting. "A pretty little Indian girl all alone." "I am not alone," Nia replied steadily, though her heart raced. "And I am not yours to find." The man laughed. "Feisty, I like that." He stepped closer. "Don't worry, we just want to talk." "She's Blackwood's wife," one of the others warned, hanging back. The leader hesitated momentarily, then shrugged. "Blackwood ain't here, is he?" As they moved toward her, Nia braced herself for a fight. Suddenly, a shot rang out, kicking up dust at the leader's feet. Next one goes through your skull, Rollins. James emerged from the trees, his gun drawn, eyes cold as winter. Blackwood. The miner stepped back. Just having a friendly conversation with the lady. She's my wife. James's voice carried a deadly edge. And you're trespassing on Apache land. Since when do you care about Indian territory? Rollins challenged, though his bravado was fading. Since now, James cocked his revolver. You have 10 seconds to disappear. They fled, dust billowing behind their horses. James holstered his weapon and approached Naya. Are you hurt? No, she studied him. You were following me, keeping watch. His expression softened slightly. The miners have been bolder lately. Because of the gold discovered near our hunting grounds, she said. He nodded grimly. Davidson wants that gold. Our marriage was never about protection. It was about gaining access to Apache land. That evening, they received a visitor. Colonel Davidson rode into their settlement, accompanied by 2 soldiers. Blackwood. He called, dismounting outside their cabin. A word? James stepped outside, positioning himself between Davidson and the door where Naya listened. You've been married nearly a month, Davidson said. Time to fulfill your end of the bargain. Which is? Convince the chief to allow surveying teams on the eastern ridge. That wasn't our agreement, James replied evenly. Davidson smirked. Our agreement changes as I see fit. Unless you'd prefer I send a telegram to certain parties in Boston about the whereabouts of James Harrington, son of Judge William Harrington? Naya's breath caught. Harrington, his real name. You have until the end of the week, Davidson continued, or your wife's people will face the consequences. He mounted his horse. Oh, and Blackwood? Remember who made you. I can unmake you just as easily. After Davidson left, James returned to find Naya waiting. Harrington, she said softly. That's your true name, he nodded, sinking into a chair. James Harrington died with his family. Blackwood was born from their ashes. What will you do? His eyes met hers, and for the first time, she saw the full weight of his burden. I don't know, but I won't let him hurt your people. That night, as they sat by the fire, James suddenly asked, Can you ride? Of course, she replied. All Apache children learn. Good, he stared into the flames. Because we might need to leave quickly. Leave? This is my home, my people. Davidson won't stop with the eastern ridge. He wants all of your land. James leaned forward. I've seen men like him before. They take until nothing remains. Then we fight, Naya said firmly. A smile, his first genuine smile, crossed his face. You remind me of someone. Who? My sister. She never backed down either. He reached for his saddlebag and withdrew a folded paper. I've been mapping the territory, marking Davidson's men's movements. They're surrounding your tribal lands. As they studied the map together, their hands touched briefly. Naya felt a strange flutter in her chest, not fear, something entirely different. When she looked up, James was watching her, a similar confusion in his eyes. We should rest, he said, withdrawing his hand. Tomorrow will bring decisions enough. Later, as Naya drifted toward sleep, she heard James whisper, I'll keep you safe. I promise. And somehow, despite everything, she believed him. Dawn broke with an unusual stillness over the Apache settlement. Naya woke to find James already dressed, his expression grim. Riders coming, he said. Not Davidson, Army scouts. She dressed quickly and followed him outside where her father and several warriors had gathered. In the distance, dust clouds signaled the approaching cavalry. They're early, Chief Nako said. The treaty negotiations weren't scheduled until next moon. James's hand hovered near his gun. This isn't about treaties. The cavalry unit arrived, led by a young lieutenant who introduced himself as Lieutenant Foster. His manner was formal, but not overtly hostile. Chief Nako, I bring orders from Fort Bowie, he announced. All Apache in this region are to relocate to the San Carlos Reservation immediately. Murmurs of anger rippled through the gathered tribe members. On whose authority? Nako demanded. We have an existing agreement. By order of the territory governor. Foster replied. I'm instructed to inform you that gold has been discovered on these lands. For your own protection, relocation is mandatory. Naya glanced at James, whose jaw had tightened. This was Davidson's doing. And if we refuse, her father asked. Foster shifted uncomfortably. I'm authorized to use whatever means necessary to ensure compliance. You mean force? James stepped forward. Against women and children. The lieutenant recognized him, eyes widening. Blackwood? What business do you have here? This is my wife's home, James replied evenly. Making it my business. Foster's gaze darted between James and Naya, confusion evident. I wasn't aware. Lieutenant, James lowered his voice. We both know who's behind these orders. Give us 3 days to gather belongings. I'll ensure the tribe complies. Foster hesitated, then nodded. 3 days, no more. He turned to leave, then paused. Blackwood. There are rumors about mercenaries being hired by mining interests. Watch yourself. After the soldiers departed, the tribe erupted in argument. Some wanted to fight, others to flee deeper into the mountains. This is Davidson's doing, James told Nako. He's manipulating the army while positioning his own men. What would you have us do, Gunslinger? Elder Maska challenged. Trust you? A white man who married into our tribe for convenience. Not convenience, James replied, his eyes finding Naya's. Protection. That evening, as the tribe deliberated, James pulled Naya aside. We don't have 3 days, he said quietly. Davidson's men will come before then. How do you know? Because it's what I would have done in my Blackwood days. He ran a hand through his hair. We need to get your people to safety. The sacred caves in the northern mountains, Naya suggested. My people have used them for generations. The white men don't know them, James nodded. Can you lead them there? Of course, but what about you? His expression darkened. I'm going to deal with Davidson. Alone? Fear clutched at her heart. That's suicide. I've faced worse odds. He touched her cheek gently. Naya, he stopped, conflict evident in his eyes. What? She pressed. I never expected this, he admitted. When I agreed to marry you, it was just another job. Another identity to hide behind. And now? Now I'm afraid I've put you in more danger by caring for you. The admission hung between them, unexpected and powerful. Naya stepped closer. My grandmother says fear is wisdom in the face of danger, she said softly. Not something to be ashamed of. Before he could respond, Dakota rushed up to them. Riders approaching from the east, many of them. James's expression hardened. Davidson couldn't even wait one night. He turned to Naya. Get everyone moving toward the caves, now. And you? He checked his revolver. I'll buy you time. As the tribe hurriedly gathered essentials, James positioned himself at the eastern approach. Naya organized the evacuation, but her thoughts remained with the lone figure silhouetted against the setting sun. The first shots rang out as darkness fell. Maya, leading a group of children and elders, flinched at the sound. Keep moving, she urged. The northern path. Suddenly, riders appeared, cutting off their escape. Not soldiers, rough-looking men with bandanas covering their faces. Mercenaries. Going somewhere? Their leader called, leveling a rifle. Naya pushed the children behind her. This is Apache land. You have no right. Rights? The man laughed. Rights are for those with the guns to enforce them. A shot cracked through the night air, and one of the mercenaries fell from his horse. Then another. The remaining men wheeled around, searching for the unseen attacker. From the shadows, James emerged, a rifle in his hands. Leave them be. Blackwood, the leader spat. Davidson said you might be trouble. He was right. James fired again, dropping another rider. The mercenaries returned fire, forcing James to take cover. Naya used the distraction to usher the children toward the tree line. As she reached safety, she looked back to see James in hand-to-hand combat with the leader. Despite his skill, James was outnumbered. A blow to the head sent him to his knees, and the leader raised his gun for a killing shot. Without hesitation, Naya knocked an arrow to her bow and let fly. It struck the man in the shoulder, throwing off his aim. His shot went wide as James rolled away, coming up with his revolver drawn. The remaining mercenaries fled into the darkness. James stumbled toward Naya, blood streaming from a cut above his eye. "You saved my life," he said, breathing heavily, "as you have saved mine." She examined his wound. "We are even now." A hint of a smile crossed his face. "I don't think I'll ever be even with you, Naya." They rejoined the tribe's evacuation, moving through the night toward the mountain caves. By dawn, they had reached safety, but James's condition had worsened. The bullet that had grazed his side during the fight was causing more damage than he'd admitted. Naya tended his wounds in a secluded corner of the cave. As she worked, he drifted in and out of consciousness, murmuring names she didn't recognize. His family, she realized, lost so long ago. "Stay with me, James," she whispered, applying a poultice of herbs to his wound. "You promised to keep me safe, remember? I'm holding you to that." His eyes fluttered open, surprisingly clear. "Naya," his hand found hers. "I never believed I'd find peace again, not after what I've done." "What you did was survive," she said firmly, "as we all must do." He squeezed her hand weakly. "Davidson will come with more men. The army too, eventually. Then we will face them together," she promised. "Rest now." As James finally fell into a healing sleep, Naya sat beside him, watching the rise and fall of his chest. Their forced marriage had become something neither of them could have predicted, a partnership, perhaps even more. Outside the cave, the first light of dawn painted the mountains gold, the same gold that men would kill for. But within, Naya had found something far more precious, a man who had shed his violent past to stand beside her, and a future uncertain but faced together. 3 days passed in the mountain caves. James regained strength under Naya's care, though he remained watchful, expecting Davidson's next move. The tribe had settled into the temporary refuge, but tensions ran high. Food would soon become scarce, and winter approached. On the 4th morning, Dakota returned from scouting with troubling news. "Soldiers at our settlement," he reported, "and miners. They're tearing everything apart, searching." Chief Nako's face darkened. "For us?" "For gold," James said, joining them despite Naya's protests that he should rest. "And for me." Naya stood beside him, supporting his weight. "What will we do?" "We cannot stay here indefinitely." James's eyes met hers, and she saw resolution there. "I'm going to Fort Bowie." "The army post?" Nako asked. "They'll arrest you on sight." "Not if I have leverage." James pulled a folded paper from his jacket. "I've been gathering evidence against Davidson for months. Correspondence proving he's been manipulating army orders, hiring mercenaries, orchestrating attacks on settlements to blame on Apache raids." Naya stared at him. "You planned this all along?" "Not all of it." His gaze softened. "I never planned on you." Chief Nako considered the plan. "The army commander at Fort Bowie, Colonel Richards, is known to be honorable, if not always sympathetic to our people." "I'll need someone who knows the terrain," James said. "Someone who can get me to Fort Bowie undetected." "I'll go," Naya stated firmly. "Absolutely not," James and Nako said simultaneously. Naya crossed her arms. "I know paths through these mountains that even our warriors don't. And James is still wounded. He needs someone to watch over him." After much debate, it was decided. Naya and James would make the journey to Fort Bowie, while the tribe remained hidden. If they hadn't returned in 5 days, Nako would lead the people further into the mountains, away from Davidson's reach. They set out at nightfall, James riding and Naya leading them through narrow mountain passes that no white man had ever traversed. Despite his improving condition, James struggled with the difficult terrain. "We should rest," Naya insisted as dawn approached. "You're pushing yourself too hard." They made camp in a sheltered alcove. As Naya tended the small fire, James watched her, his expression thoughtful. "In Boston," he said suddenly, "before everything happened, I was engaged to be married." Naya looked up, surprised at the personal revelation. Her name was Elizabeth. "Our families had arranged it a suitable match," they called it. He stared into the flames. I never felt for her what I feel when I look at you. The admission hung in the air between them. Naya's heart raced. When this is over, he continued, if we survive, I want you to know that I would choose you. Not out of obligation or arrangement, but because in this chaos, I found something I never expected. Naya moved to his side, taking his hand in hers. My grandmother says that sometimes the greatest journeys begin with steps we are forced to take. He smiled, tentatively bringing her hand to his lips. Your grandmother is wise. That night, as they slept side by side for warmth, Naya felt a shift between them, from reluctant partnership to something deeper, something chosen. The journey to Fort Bowie took 3 grueling days. They traveled by night and hid during daylight, narrowly avoiding Davidson's search parties twice. As they approached the fort on the 3rd evening, James grew tense. If anything happens to me, he said, take the evidence to Colonel Richards directly. Tell him everything. Naya gripped his arm. Nothing will happen to you. Davidson has men everywhere, Naya, even possibly within the fort. They waited until nightfall before approaching the army post. James had formulated a plan to sneak into Colonel Richards' quarters, but as they neared the fort, shots rang out. Ambush! James pushed Naya behind a boulder as bullets splintered the rock around them. Davidson's voice called through the darkness. I know you're there, Harrington. Did you really think I wouldn't have men watching the fort? James returned fire, his shots calculated and precise. Get to the fort, Naya. I'll hold them off. I won't leave you. More mercenaries approached from the sides, cutting off their escape. James and Naya fought back to back, her bow complementing his revolver as they held off the attackers. Suddenly, light flooded the area lanterns from the fort. A commanding voice rang out. Cease fire immediately. This is Colonel Richards. The shooting stopped abruptly. Army soldiers surrounded the area, rifles raised. Davidson emerged from the shadows, composing himself quickly. Colonel, thank goodness you've arrived. We've cornered the notorious Blackwood and his Apache accomplice. They were planning to attack the fort. Colonel Richards, a stern-faced man with a neatly trimmed beard, surveyed the scene skeptically. Attacking my fort with just 2 people, Davidson? That seems unlikely. James slowly lowered his weapon. Colonel Richards, I have evidence of criminal conspiracy involving Colonel Davidson. Manipulation of army orders, hired attacks on settlements, all to create conflict and seize Apache land for gold mining. Davidson laughed nervously. Preposterous. This man is a known killer, wanted in 3 territories. Then why are you working with him? Richards asked pointedly. Davidson's smile faltered. Sir, James continued, check the credentials of these men. They're not soldiers, they're hired guns. And this evidence, he held up the packet of papers, proves everything. Richards ordered his men to secure everyone. I'll review your evidence, Blackwood. Or should I say Harrington? Yes, I received a telegram about you last week from a judge in Boston. James tensed, but Richards continued. Judge Monroe speaks highly of you. Says you were wrongfully implicated in your family's murder. He's been working to clear your name for years. Hope flickered across James's face. Monroe is alive? Very much so. And eager to see justice done. Over the next 2 days, as Colonel Richards reviewed the evidence, the truth emerged. Davidson was arrested, along with his conspirators. James's real identity as James Harrington, son of the murdered judge, was confirmed. Most importantly, a new treaty was drawn up, guaranteeing the Apache tribe's right to remain on their ancestral lands, with provisions for limited regulated mining that would benefit the tribe as well. When Naya and James returned to the caves with the news, celebrations erupted throughout the tribe. Chief Nako embraced his daughter proudly. You have saved our people, he told her. Both of you. That evening, as the tribe prepared to return to their settlement, James took Naya's hand and led her to a quiet overlook. I received a letter from Judge Monroe, he said. He's offered me a position in Boston, helping to prosecute corruption in the territories. Naya's heart sank. You're leaving. No, he squeezed her hand. I'm asking you to come with me. Not as Blackwood's wife, but as James Harrington's, if you'll have me. Leave my people, my home? Only for a time, he assured her. Once the prosecution is complete, we could return. Build something new here, a school perhaps, or a clinic combining your knowledge of medicine with what we could learn in Boston. Naya considered his words. My father would say such a journey requires great courage. Your grandmother would say it begins with steps we choose to take, James replied with a smile. Looking out over the landscape that had always been her home, Naim made her decision. I will go with you, she said. But we will return. This land is part of me, as I now see has become part of you. James drew her close. I was lost when I came here, Naya, a man with no name, no future. You gave me both. As the sun set over the Arizona territory, Naya and James stood together, their forced beginning transformed into a chosen path forward. The Apache girl and the reformed gunslinger had found in each other not just protection, but understanding, respect, and love, proving that even in the harshest landscapes, healing and hope could flourish. 6 months later, they returned to the tribe, bringing with them knowledge, resources, and plans for the future. The settlement had grown, protected now by both tribal warriors and army patrols under Colonel Richard's command. Gold mining continued under strict regulation, with proceeds benefiting the Apache people. In the cabin where their story began, now expanded and filled with books, medicines, and plans for a school, Naya placed a small wooden carving on a shelf, the bird James had made for her so long ago. A reminder, she said, of how far we've come. James wrapped his arms around her. And how far we'll go, together. Outside, children played, Apache and settler alike, in the shadow of mountains that had witnessed their journey from strangers forced together to partners who had chosen each other, forging a future neither could have imagined alone.